Hey everyone, Rushlock here with our next episode of Evaganda coverage for Rixx Javix's blog posts. This one titled Real Enemies. Rick says, I have no enemies. Oh sure, I have that guy who warned me I'm coming back and I'm going to kill you the other day. I've certainly had my fair share of weird haters over the years. Goodness knows. From Mittens all the way down to that one dude in Shadow Cartel who hates me for something that may or may not have even happened over a decade ago. So there's always those people. But even those I don't consider to be my enemies. For me, labeling someone as an enemy only serves to empower them and gives them space in my head they haven't earned. Eve is a game after all. We're all real human beings out here and in the real world, and it is important to always remember that. I'm writing this as a real human being, writing these words, so it is important you remember that also, because we are about to dive once more into the duality that is EVE Online, a world in which it is both possible to have no enemies and be surrounded by them. I know this line of thinking can be challenging for some people, hence the long introduction and the preamble. So yeah, I've been at this a long time. In the context of the game, enemies are important. You need them as much as they need you. If we all got along and played together, EVE Online would be boring, and we'd all be blue to each other. Which, once you think about it, would be a funny way for this game to end, but I'm not recommending it. Enemies motivate players to achieve goals, to push forward, to undock, and to have clearly defined objectives. This is critical to faction warfare, to nullsec politics, to market orders, and everything else that keeps the blood pumping, both in the game and in us as well. Within that context, I create enemies, to help motivate the players I represent and help us focus on goals that we can achieve. But I have never, ever, not once in my EVE career created an enemy of anyone for personal, real-world reasons. It is always, for me, about the game. I wish I could say the same about other players' motivations, but after getting doxxed twice, stalked, impersonated dozens of times, threatened, and everything else that has happened over the years, it is quite obvious that other people have felt differently inclined towards me. And since I never once did anything to any of them out here in the real world, my only conclusion is that they are this angry about stuff that happened in the game. But let's be real for a second. What could that be? Stay Frosty and ABAs don't own Sov. We have a few times, but clearly only for the lulz. We don't often gate camp, or blops, or drop caps on Tristans, and when we do these things, it's only briefly, and let's be honest, it's us doing it, and we're terrible. We do host that big player event every year, but is that something to get angry about? Maybe. It did seem to get certain parties within the game up in arms recently. I wish I had answers here, but I don't. I seem to anger certain people, and I don't know why. But I know this much. I'm not angry back. Not one of you in almost 15 years of playing this game has gotten me actually angry out here in the real world where it matters. When I stop playing, or I log off from a session, you are not in my mind, not a single one of you, because EVE is a game, and I play it like one. And maybe, just maybe, that is some advice you should consider. Some of you are very angry. All I'm going to do is turn you into a meme. So, thankfully, knock on wood, my negative interactions streaming EVE for almost 10 years have been overwhelmingly positive. And the negative interactions that Rixx describes here, I've only had a very, very small handful of those interactions, and all of them, thankfully, very, very brief. And some could write it off as well as his nature of being online, and it seems like an unfortunate concession to just write it off as. And I don't know. I don't have a lot of perspective on Stay Frosty, Rixx, or ABA historically to know who they've butted out heads with or what the motivations would have been. I do know Rixx has mentioned that they have a background in marketing, and I wonder, Rixx, sometimes if... I'm trying to frame this a little bit better for my own context. So, I've never worked in marketing, but there's a certain element of it within the producing the stream, right? Like there's marketing involved in that. There's certainly user psychology or user behavior analysis that you will do that you mentioned in a previous article that I was recording on earlier today. And so there's some overlap is the basic point that I'm trying to make. And I wonder if at times, if people who can see behind the curtain of what others are doing and don't just drink the Kool-Aid, as it were, for whatever projects or organizations are running or initiatives or narratives that they're trying to push, if we're able to just kind of smile at it and I see what you're doing there and move on from it and not buy in, I wonder if that irritates people sometimes. That's more in context of butting heads with, I guess, larger organizations or not having positive interactions with those individuals. This is a theory, just a spitball, I wonder if type of a thing. And I wonder if that's ever bounced around in your head as well, as those of us that have the type of awareness to see those types of things, and no one's doing a hard sell, and that's going, slow down. It's okay for the rank and file to drink that down like the Kool-Aid that they're used to, but it doesn't work on me, kind of a thing. That can be off-putting to certain personality types for sure. And those personality types are usually in some kind of leadership position of some type of organization. Again, this isn't specifically related to Eve, just there are certainly some examples of where that would play out. Yeah, I wonder if that's what's got people upset, Rixx. It could be completely unrelated, could be a million other things too, I'm quite sure. But that's the only part that I have awareness of or perspective on, having read a lot of Rixx's articles and posts and our Discord message exchanges over the years. And so that got me thinking about that. If you're watching this video, tell us what you think. Why do you think Rixx pisses people off so much? And maybe the comment section will give us some perspective on, oh yeah, Rixx, remember this thing you did 5 years ago? Maybe that's upsetting people, and maybe the YouTube comments will give us more perspective. We'll have to wait and see. But we'll see you all in the next video.